If you are like most of the people I work with who are struggling with food, you are high achieving, smart, driven, focused, and successful in so many other areas of your life. So you're really confused on why haven't I figured out how to stop binge eating yet? And I get it because I too used to think I feel like an expert in food. I knew the calories in 12 baby carrots, yet I couldn't stop eating so much. And I bought so many books, some of which I read, some of them I barely opened, and they're still collecting dust in my closet. I followed anyone and everyone on Instagram and TikTok for advice on overeating and how to have a healthier relationship with food. I spent hours a day Googling tips on how to stop binge eating, yet 8 p.m. would come around and I would find myself with a mouth covered in chocolate yet again. You probably know some of the things that you should be doing in order to be healthy, like drinking water, eating protein and vegetables, journaling, moving your body, and maybe you even know some more advanced strategies about how to stop binge eating, such as nervous system regulation. Maybe you've actually studied nutrition before. You've done other coaching programs before you found me. Then when you've done those things too, on top of all of it, there's almost like this deeper layer of added shame of, I feel like I really should know what to do now. I've spent so long on this. I have really gotten all the information that I feel like I could, and now I feel like something really must be wrong with me. I think a lot of you would be surprised to know how many dietitians, nutritionists, therapists, psychologists, personal trainers, and even doctors that have gone through my Confident Eater program and have come out of it finally eating normally and telling me, oh my gosh, all the things that you're teaching I've never heard before. And there's so much information out there about binge eating and a lot of misinformation. Did you know that binge eating was only recognized as an eating disorder in 2013? So that's only about 13 years ago, which means there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of stuff that is wrong or even harmful that is taking you away from your goal to stop binge eating. So today I'm going to go over the top 5 reasons why you feel like you know all the things, but you're still not doing it. You're still overeating. You still feel out of control around food. You still feel stuck and you don't have your dream eating habits yet. Number 1, binge eating is not an intellectual problem. It is a biological and psychological one. So learning more information about how to stop binge eating does not actually solve the root cause of why you're binge eating in the first place. Let's use an example of money. You can know how to deposit money in a savings account. You can learn strategies such as saving $100 every month, but that doesn't mean you're going to go do it. Why? Because you can have all the money saving strategies in the world, but until you address why you're avoiding your to-do list with Target runs every Saturday, nothing's going to change. That's something that's going on in your mindset, not your strategy. So strategies are important and information can be useful, but it's not going to tell you, well, why are you uniquely eating at 10 p.m. when you know you're not hungry? What is it from your past history with food that makes it feel unsafe to say no? And a lot of the tips and tricks that you're going to find out there, they're very general. They're not tailored to you and your unique history with food. Everyone is so different on how their eating habits formed and why they're binge eating. Now, most of us, it did start as we dieted and then it became a habit, and we don't know how to break our habits sometimes because they're really ingrained and we need someone else to see our brain from the outside lens to really take this psychological approach with us. Number 2, you are being a passive learner instead of an active one. So there is a difference between taking in information and implementing the information. And if you feel like, well, I know what to do, but I'm not doing it, you are just taking it in, but not implementing it into your life. We get a big dopamine hit from learning things. It feels really good in our brain. Why? Because this is a survival skill. We need to gather information and learn new things to stay top of food chain and to make sure that we learn and we don't get eaten. And if there was a tiger in the bush, I got to make sure I figure that out from Susie so she lets me know not to go over there and I increase my odds of survival. So gathering information is something that is beneficial. It's good to learn. We like learning. And this is why social media can feel so addictive sometimes, is because it can feel like we're acquiring a lot of information that could be good for our survival, when really we just get overwhelmed. But you know what is a lot harder than just passively learning is taking that information and having to do something. Taking that tip that you just heard about how to start a side hustle and then actually going to create a business. We're getting the dopamine hit from learning without actually having to do anything hard. Learning is easy. Doing is hard. That's why so many people pay others to help keep them accountable. Like people who have personal trainers, mentors, they pay for co-working spaces. I used to pay for this online co-working thing where I literally sat on Zoom with other people while we all worked together in order to help me focus. And this is not because we're lazy or undisciplined, but because it helps us to have systems and people helping us stay accountable for the doing part of getting results. So that way we don't just get stuck scrolling all day and searching for new information without ever putting it into our life and getting results from it. So sometimes when people say, I know what to do, what they really mean is I know what the end result should look like. I know at the end, I shouldn't be binge eating. I will be stopping at fullness. I'll be eating balanced meals. But what we really don't want to experience is the middle ground, right? The discomfort of having to stop at a normal, comfortable level of fullness instead of blowing past it. The anxiety of not finishing the whole bag. The restlessness of not numbing out. The vulnerability of sharing our feelings with others or just acknowledging them to ourselves. This is not a knowledge problem. It is a capacity problem. It is our capacity to feel discomfort in the world that is missing. And when we can up that capacity for discomfort, that will allow us to actually start making changes to our eating habits. And one way you can do that is by working with someone who's allowing you to share why you're getting stuck and helping you overcome those obstacles. Number 3, you are way too emotionally activated during an urge to binge. When we are very stressed out, very overwhelmed, feeling very anxious because we're just thinking about how badly we want the food, this literally reduces our access to our logical thoughts. So it can feel impossible to access the part of our brain that contains all of our tools and resources of what we should be doing in that moment when we do have an urge. Now, it's not true that you can't access your tools. It just makes it more challenging. So you might have learned some strategies and some thoughts that you want to tell yourself in the moment of the urge, but it just feels like the urge is so big that you just can't even think clearly. So one of my favorite tools is just taking a big inhale and a long, slow exhale out twice as long. Now, I know this one seems simple, but do not discount it. This literally takes your brain out of fight or flight mode like that instantly, within 3 seconds, and gives you back access to those higher parts of your brain. Now, you might be thinking, well, Amber, I can't even remember to do that, to take 3 deep breaths. This is also if you have a tool already, such as my guided meditation audio to help you stop a binge, which if you haven't gotten, go to the show notes, you can get it. It's a 7-minute audio that will walk you through how to not eat when you have an urge to binge. But let's say you get that audio and you're like, okay, I have this great tool that will help calm me down, but I don't even remember to use that. What I recommend doing in that situation is listening to that audio or using your tools at times of days where you're not super activated, where you're not already having an urge to binge. So maybe first thing in the morning, you wake up, you listen to the audio just to get it in your brain. Because the more we hear things and the more we repeat things, the more likely it is we'll be able to recall them. You can also schedule it in your calendar, like time to journal, time to write down my intentional thoughts, how I want to be showing up around food. I just started working with a new client and her and I were working on visualization together and really visualizing like what her dream day would look like with around food. And she has found it so helpful. Like it has literally helped her stop overeating within just a couple of days to have that plan. So you can plan ahead of when do I want to use these tools. You can also set it a reminder. Your urges are more predictable than you think. Sometimes we pretend that it just feels like the urge randomly comes up at all times of day and we just always want to binge. That's usually not the truth. Most of you have predictable times where, for example, every night after dinner at 7 p.m., you want to go eat the chocolate. We know that happened every single day this week, so it's probably going to happen again tonight because our brains are predictive machines and it's going to predict to do that again. So you could set a reminder on your phone, like 7 p.m. tonight, listen to Amber's guided audio for urges. Then that way it will pop up and you won't have to think about reminding yourself to do it. Okay, number 4. The reason you're not doing what you know what to do is because you're overwhelmed. You have heard so much information from online, from different sources that you just freeze when it's time to take action. You don't even know where to start. You have all of these tips and tricks, but where do you start? Which one do you use right now? Should you start by listening to your hunger and fullness, or should you start by eating more at your meal times and not worrying about hunger and fullness right now? This is why having a structured program is so valuable. I give people one specific focus each week that we are working on together, so you know the most efficient and important thing you need to be doing each week to stop binge eating versus trying to do the 100 tips that you found on ChatGPT. I don't know about you, but every time I use ChatGPT for something, it gives me like a million ideas and I look at it, my brain scans over it and I think, wow, that's interesting. And then I never do anything with it because I just become flooded with the information. I feel overwhelmed and an overwhelmed brain shuts down and does nothing. So another thing I recommend too, if you're really overwhelmed overwhelmed is narrowing down the amount of information that you're consuming. So I know that when we're struggling with something, like we just want to get our hands on anything and everything that we can because we're just trying to find the solution. But I would pick 1 to 2 people, 3 maybe max, of people that you trust, people that you really like their stuff, that you really resonate with their approach, and shut out everyone else. So of course, recommends listening to my podcast as one of them, but then unfollowing people on social media that maybe you just don't really agree with their opinions that much anymore. Just trying to reduce your social media use overall, because I know nowadays on social media, it doesn't really matter who you follow, you get shown stuff anyways. So trying to reduce your social media use can help you so you just aren't so overwhelmed with everyone telling you what to do all the time, and you have a clear path of, here's a couple of people's opinions I'm going to follow, or here's one program that I'm going to do so I don't even have to worry about thinking about multiple people's paths. And finally, number 5, the reason that you know what to do, but you're not doing it is because you actually don't want to do the things. So if you think, well, I actually still want the binge, then guess what? You're not going to do any of the things that you know to do. If you still want the perceived hit, the shut off, escape, pleasure, relief, you're going to keep binge eating. Now, notice how I said perceived. Perceived is an important word here because we know that binge eating never actually helps us escape from anything. That thing is still always there even after the binge. It never actually gives us true pleasure. We always feel worse after, and we never really get relief. We always feel more stressed out after a binge and guilty and frustrated. So it's perceived, but if your brain is perceiving that, guess what? You're going to want to keep binge eating. So this could be because, like, 1, you truly don't want to do the things long term. So maybe the things that you know how to do that you've heard are like, you need to calorie count and you can never eat after 7 p.m. And you're like, well, I know I should do these things. I'm not doing them. I'm still eating after 7 p.m. and still not calorie counting. Maybe you just don't want to do those tools and strategies. So the first question is checking in with yourself and being like, is this actually something that I want to do long term? And if not, find something else to do. Maybe the rules you're trying to follow are just way too harsh, or they just don't really resonate with you, or you've tried them before and they just don't really work. So you might just need to shift, like, what's the actual plan of what you're doing? Think about this with working out too. Like, people are like, oh, I know I should probably go for a run today, or I should probably go to the gym. I just don't want to. It's like, well, maybe you want to go rollerblading instead. Maybe you want to do the hula hoop. Maybe you want to go run around at the park with your kids. Like, maybe the solution is not needing to motivate yourself more to do these things. It's just changing what you're doing. But then the second part of this is maybe you truly do want to do it. Like, you want to sit with your urges. You want to listen to my guided audio to stop a binge. You truly want to eat less sugar, but it feels unsafe and scary to do those things. Or you're perceiving these behaviors as still valuable and pleasurable. So let's break that down a little bit. Your brain can feel unsafe to say no to food, especially when you've had a history of restriction. Your brain thinks that maybe saying no to food right now means that it's going away. That if I say no to chocolate, I might not get chocolate ever again right now. And so it feels scary to say no. This is a big thing I work with people on, is creating safety in our brain so it feels okay to say no. Anytime we're doing something new in our life, we get a new job, we go on a date, we're gonna feel a little uncomfortable. It's gonna feel a little unsafe to our brain because it's new. And so we need to train our brain to see how the new way is actually safer than the old way. How not binge eating is actually a lot more beneficial for our life than continuing to binge. And same thing, if we are perceiving that binge eating is something that is pleasurable to us and something that has a lot of value in our life that is really helping us, that motivation to stop it is going to go way down. So I want you to get honest with yourself. What do I truly want and value long-term out of eating? What does that look like for me? And what will my life look like if I don't stop binge eating? Getting honest there. I can tell you from experience, the longer you binge, the harder it is to change and the worse your life gets in every single way. So asking, how is this negatively impacting my life in multiple areas? Because binge eating doesn't just impact our health or our mood. It also impacts our relationships, the way we show up around people. It affects our career, being able to ask for a raise or show up productively at work. If we don't feel confident in ourselves and we're always gaining weight and we're just thinking about what we ate last night, what we're gonna eat tomorrow, and we're filled with food noise all day, we don't have a very good work day. So we don't show up for our career goals the way we want to. It wastes so much of our money. I always think it's funny when people think that, like, binge eating is free, that if they could just continue this forever, they wouldn't be wasting any money. It's wasting so much of your money every single day, every single month. So when you show your brain, like, look, brain, here are all of the negative impacts of binge eating, it can start to break apart this story that binge eating is something that I want to do. Because again, if you're still believing that, it's gonna be hard to do the strategies that you know are right to stop binge eating. And if you're having a hard time conceptualizing this, I want you to go listen to episode 72 on the long-term impacts of binge eating, because sometimes just showing your brain that will help it see, oh, this is why I don't want to keep doing this. So for most of you, the reason that you know what to do, but you're not doing it is because you are missing the psychological piece around the mindset. Mindset is what helps us see why we're still doing the things. You can know all of the what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, but until you know, well, why am I wanting to overeat so much in the first place? Nothing is going to change. And most people aren't here teaching the psychological piece around binge eating. They're just giving you random tools, random strategies. And again, you get that dopamine hit of, oh, I'm learning something new, but that's not actually what you need. So if knowing isn't enough, then what is? What do you need? You need to have repetition of changing your habits, usually with the help of someone else to help you do that, because I know easier said than done, right? You need to know how to regulate your nervous system and be in a calmer state of mind so you don't panic when the urges come up. You need a step-by-step plan so you're not overwhelmed. You need exposure to the urges without acting on them so you actually change it, taking that actionable action of doing the things of not acting on the urge, because every time we don't act on an urge to binge, what happens? Our brain updates, it rewires. And you need to remove the shame so your brain can actually learn here. Our brain doesn't rewire just because we understand something. It rewires when we practice something. We become someone new over and over and over again. Now, the last thing I want you to question is, do I actually know what I need to do? Because sometimes people will tell me this, but it's just random advice that Google has given you. And it's not actually very good advice. What I teach inside my Confident Eater program is something that I haven't seen any other program or coach teach before, which is why I do this, because no one else helped me the way that I helped myself. So I guarantee that the vast majority of the information in it will be new. But honestly, as great as my content is inside the Confident Eater program, 95% of what most of you need is accountability and support. That is the reason you're not changing. It's because you don't have someone there for you when you slip up. You let your slip ups turn into a 3-week binge and you just keep eating. And so when you have someone who's there for you, keeping you accountable, helping you get unstuck, who's there in your corner as your coach and cheerleader, it makes it so you don't have to rely on your willpower and motivation. You have someone there helping you through that. So if you're stuck in this I know what to do loop, I want you to ask yourself, have I actually practiced the skills, or have I just consumed the information? Have I trained myself to tolerate discomfort, or am I continuing to avoid it? And have I been doing this alone, or have I had structure? Do I need structure? Do I need support? Because having that there can make a huge difference.